us and what we appreciate. So I found a story that I'd like to read to you. There was a blind girl who hated herself purely for the fact she was blind. The only person she didn't hate was her loving boyfriend, as he was always there for her. She said if she could only see the world, she would marry him. One day, someone donated a pair of eyes to her. Now she can see everything, including her boyfriend. Her boyfriend asked her, now that you can see the world, will you marry me? The girl was shocked when she saw that her boyfriend was blind too and refused to marry him. Her boyfriend walked away in tears, and later he wrote a letter to her saying, just take care of my eyes, dear. We know our circumstances are changing, and so does our minds. And some people might not be able to see the way things were before and might not be able to appreciate what we had. There are many, many things I believe you can take away from this story, not just one.
Oh, wow, incredible.
Very
good.
Thank you for that. We are inspired. Wow. Health and welfare. Are there any updates or reports on the health of Rotary members? Anyone? Okay, hearing none. Next slide. Introduction of guests. Are there guests joining us today? Okay, hearing none. Next slide. Under announcements, Flint Rotary meetings will remain virtual until further notice, when the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan will have an update on meetings in person. We welcome and encourage more members and guests to join our virtual meetings until we are able to enjoy each other's company without fear of becoming infected. I talked with the food bank and they said that sometime next month, the latter part of next month, they should have some information. Neither the food bank nor I were confident that, that we're going to be able to meet in person anytime soon, but we're hoping that we'll be able to. Next slide.
Is Kyle back yet?
Yeah, I'm on. Sorry.
Oh, there.
Okay.
Yep. I left the meeting. It's just kept running on. Thank you, President Ray. Before you have the proposed slate that has been nominated by the nominating committee and recommended for approval by the board, this is the second reading of the names. You see them on the screen, but I also at this point want to make one final call for additional nominations. So are there any other nominations for the board for the 2021-2022 Rotary year? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, please look in your emails. We're anticipating this will be an email vote, obviously because we're not in person, with the email coming out hopefully on Friday, the 4th of December, which would have normally been our election day, and it will be opened through the end of the day on the 11th. So you'll have a week. It'll be a separate email, and you'll get a few reminders about it as we get closer to that day. So thank you very much, and back to you, President Ray.
All right, thank you. And to make it official, nominations are closed.
Ray, how many do we vote for out of the slate?
All slate.
All of them.
All of them.
Yep.
So can we make it by acclamation? Save Kyle all the emails?
Gassan, I appreciate the thought, but we need to follow our bylaws still, and our bylaws call for an election to take place in December. So we will do that, but I appreciate you trying to save us a few times of work on the email.
The only question I would have about that same issue is that unless something has changed, because the COVID, typically if you do email voting, it has to be unanimous.
That's incorrect.
And so I'm just wondering if anybody has checked into that.
Yeah, Jane, that's in, if it's not a regularly scheduled situation, if you have a board meeting and you vote by email in absence of a board meeting, you require that, but in this case, it's not. And the reason why we're doing an email vote versus just voting through the Zoom platform is that people who may call into the meeting or who may have issues with the technology of Zoom would be disadvantaged. And so we said, let's go ahead and just do an email vote. And it'll be through SurveyMonkey. So you'll just have to click through the survey and that'll be the way you cast your ballot.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, good question.
Any other questions? Okay,
President Ray, just a quick reminder about the Movember contest. If you want to donate or participate, we've got the button there up on our website. So notice my mustache is coming in, so look out, everybody.
I'm glad you
Let me
did
look, let me look.
You have to take my word for it. It's gray.
Pretty scraggly.
Hey, put your $10 in, Jerry, then we'll start talking.
Well, it'll take me a year to grow.
Well, there you go.
Any other announcements? Okay, hearing none, we can move forward.
Oh.
Now it's time for our distinguished speaker, Ms. Victoria Chapsky.
All right.
Victoria, you are on stage, front and center.
My name's Victoria Chapsky. I work for GFL, which stands for Green for Life. We're a trash and recycling hauling company. We have a branch in Canada. We're the US branch that's here. We are in Michigan. We're in different parts of Michigan. It used to start out just like in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County, but now we're throughout the entire state. And we're also in 26 other states. So we are growing. We're going to start slowing down, start working on different things, but that's where we are. I've been with the company about 7 years as the education coordinator. And sales rep. And my goal is basically, I go out into the community, I speak to Rotary clubs and schools and anywhere from preschool all the way up to senior citizen groups. And what we do is we talk about sustainability, we talk about recycling and different aspects. The thing is, it's constantly changing. So what I tell you today may change with regulations and at the state level or federal level. So that's why it's constant as far as what you can and can't do and what's going on. So I'm going to basically give you whatever information I have that's current and up to date. So I'm going to start my presentation here. All right. Why is there emphasis on sustainability? Also build the economy. Now with the build the economy, what we're looking at and what they're looking at with some of the regulations, it's almost a chicken and egg type situation. So you're looking at, okay, looking at the materials. Do we have enough, can we collect the materials? But it's not only collecting the materials, now do we have some way to break them down and turn into something new? Now our market, because you gotta look at markets, our market where we send it is within the US. But you look at California, they sent it overseas. Now China's not accepting it, so now it's stuck here. So now there's more material here than we have actual industry that will break it down and turn into something new. And then new technology. They're talking about as far as chemical recycling with the plastic. So there's different things that they're doing. And when you build the economy, all right, you have to build the recycling center, which is called a MRF. So you need someone that's constructing the actual building. The machines, the technology, you have to have people there. You have to have people run those machines and technology. And that's just the MRF. That's just the recycling center. That's all they do is sort. So now you have the paper mill. That's another total building and the technology and more employees there. And then you have the plastic and then you have the metal and the glass. So you have all that building the economy and then you have people moving in. So then they're contributing to the economy. And then provide a sustainable supply chain. So you have materials that are constantly moving through. What exactly goes to the curb? Now it does say 2017 on there. That is the most recent information that we have. You might say, well, it's 2020, yes, but it takes time for them to collect all that information. So as you can see, if you look at the chart, and this is from the EPA, so this is all 50 states, most of what we put to the curb is still in the paper category. So it's paperboard, which would be your cardboard like this, and OCC, which is old corrugated cardboard, which is your shipping boxes, they're thicker cardboard. Glass, metals, plastics, rubber, leather, and textiles, and that's very interesting when you ask students what textiles are, wood, yard trimmings, and then food. And then you have a little spot that's other. So that's probably like your electronics that goes into that category right there. Now with the food in Michigan, we do not recycle it. There are pilot programs. Ann Arbor has one where they're composting it, but it's not statewide. Now I've had people from California that moved back to Michigan and they're talking about organic waste. And they say, oh, are you collecting it? And I'm going, I'm not collecting it now. I don't know if it's on the horizon. I haven't heard anything coming up that might be, but there's legislation with Part 115 that deals with also compost. Management in the US, most of it, as you can see, is landfill. You have a little bit that 25% is recycling, the composting, and this combustion with energy recovery, that's waste to energy. That would be your incinerator. Most people realize that that's how they call it, is incinerator, but we like to call it waste to energy. But as you can see, we're still landfilling. In Michigan, it's cheaper to landfill than to do anything else. Let's talk about composting. As you can see, most of it is yard trimmings with a very small portion because a lot of states aren't doing food composting. So that's why it's so small at that point. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with this one, but I did want to bring it up. We do have our own compost sites located in Lapeer County. We are only taking yard waste, which is leaves, grass, grass clippings, branch, twigs, shrubs, plants, those type of items. Nothing from the dog, no dog waste, and also food waste. We don't want to open Pandora's box. The reason why the food waste, if I say food waste, I talk to kids and they'll say that the banana peels and the orange peels and the apple cores, which really isn't the problem. But if you general public and you mentioned food waste, now you're getting pizza, fish, meat, and those have to be composted at higher temperatures. With the yard waste that I'm seeing with the leaves and grass, that has to be between 135 and 145 degrees. And the picture that you see here is a fresh dump. So that's when the trucks first dump it off. If compost is done correctly, it does not smell. It does smell when they first open the truck because it's been basically enclosed. So you get that whiff, but if it's done correctly, I've been down to our compost site, no smell whatsoever. Place in a yard waste container or a brown paper bag. Brown paper bag's fine. Cut and bundle branches, and we arrive at the compost site, drops it off. So I'm just gonna show you some pictures so I can get into the recycling part of it. And as you can see, it is breaking down. They do have to turn it. This is the machine. It's a $500,000 machine that turns it, gives it more oxygen so that it can break down. As you can see, it does turn into a darker color. We actually have an exclusive deal with Scott's, and Scott's actually comes to take this compost so that we have to make sure we meet their requirements. All right, how much goes to a landfill? All right, this is breaking it down as far as what they're seeing by material that's showing up in landfill. Most of it is food, and that's why they want to see if they can get the food into our compost. Right now, it's not. As you can see, the next one is actually plastics, and that's what we're having the problem with the plastics. Then you go from there, you have paper and paperboard, yard trimmings is very small, metals, glass, wood, rubber, leather, and textiles. Another one they're noticing is a lot of textiles winding up in landfills and trying to divert the textiles from going there. All right, well, how else can we create sustainability? Policy at the local, state, and federal level. Part 115, that is a state. Right now, I want to say it's in the legislative branch. I know they were working on it. I know it passed the one committee. It's now in the committee that actually does the budget part of it. I don't know where it is as far as if it's actually going to be voted on this year. I know Karen O'Brien, who's in charge of the Michigan Recycling Coalition. If you're interested in finding out more about Part 15, she has everything up to date on that. EPR is extended producer responsibility. That is basically, for example, iPhone. iPhone, basically, they make their product to be obsolescent. They create it into the product. For example, my iPhone, phone part works fine, but because the upgrade with the technology and the software, at some point, my apps aren't gonna work. And then the phone's basically useless. I bought it for the apps. I bought to use the map part of it or the picture part of it. And it only upgrades to a certain point. Well, at that point, Apple could care less what I do with the phone. With the extended producer responsibility, now the legislation is saying and the regulations are saying, you created it, now you need to take it back from the customer and actually recycle it versus it winding up somewhere. Two other ones, the Recycling Act and the Recover Act. The Recycling Act is based on education, as far as educating what can be recycled, what condition it needs to be. And the Recover Act is more of, for example, okay, providing funding for a MRF, a materials recycling facility or materials recovery facility. So that recycling center, or the mill, the paper mill, to provide that type of funding. So reusable containers, bags, totes, cups, not buying as much. It is a mindset. Reuse, repurpose, donations, and creations. And the last step is recycle. I do have one example of federal legislation. There's a ton of it.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like we lost her, maybe.
Out there.
Oh, there you go. Shoo.
Okay, I'm there. Oh,
Yep, you're there.
okay. All of a sudden I became unstable. This is my, so forgive me if that happens. It is the silverware, it is the plastic cups, the straws. So eliminating that from even being sold. So they talked about EPR for the pouches, National Bottle Bill. Michigan has one. In Georgia, they want to do a bottle bill, and Coca-Cola, that's where their headquarters is. They said, they told the legislature, if you go through with it, we're going to pull funding from a project, $3 million for a project they want to do. So there's a little battle going on between the producers and actually doing that. They do have proof that it does work. Our recycling for our bottles, which would be our carbonated beverages, is about 98%. So we do very well with recycling it. Bag ban, and a fee, and other single-use plastic bans. That's going on throughout the country. Most of it's starting on the coast sides. So it'd be the West Coast and East Coast that you're gonna see this. For example, they do have in California a ban on the plastic bags, those Target bags that you see. We aren't there yet. Kroger on its own is gonna ban their bags by 2030, I believe. But they're starting in each store. And I told students that's the reason why they do pilot programs is because it's a lifestyle change. How long is it gonna take for their customers to remember to bring the bag in with them? Because when you first start out, oh, I left it at home. Now you're buying a brand new reusable bag. So how long? And they said by them buying these bags, they could tell, okay, we sold 1,000 bags first month. Second month, 800. Third month, maybe 200. Oh, they're getting an idea. So they know with the other stores how long this rollout will take. Recycling by the tons, 7.2 million tons. As you can see, most of it is paper and paperboard. They have metals, glass, plastics, wood, rubber and leather, and then the other part. So they actually broke down what is being recycled in the US. We have two types of recycling. One is commercial and one is residential. Believe it or not, commercial is actually cleaner. It's purer than the residential. Residential is also called single stream recycling, which means you put your paper, your plastic, your metal, and glass all in this container loose. Do not use garbage bags. Okay, this is some pictures of our commercial recycling. This is down in Wayne County, just right outside the airport. So if you ever been to Metro Airport, You can actually see the airport from this location. And as you can see, we collect different things. We do collect electronics. As you can see, there's the bags. This is the green plastic versus the clear plastic. Paper, also books. Now I know in Flint, we do have a facility that does take books, both hardcover and softcover. It is located right off the expressway. I can't remember if it's GM or Ford that's right across the street from them. But we actually, in Metro Detroit, Royal Oak Recycling, which is now GFL Recycling, they actually have a way to take the binding and separate the binding, the hard binding from the book. So we can get rid of the binding and recycle the paper. But we don't want it put in single stream because we don't have that technology for single stream. But when you drop it off into like a paper retrieval program, then we could do that. I always tell people with books, try to donate them. But a lot of people are asking me about encyclopedias. I've sent encyclopedias. I went to my local libraries and they don't want them. The schools don't want them. They're outdated. Everybody does everything online. So I asked my company, even with the Encyclopedia Britannicas, because they're leather binding, and I said, the gold that's kind of on there, they said, it's fine. We'll take it because they have that machine that will separate them out. And I did hear that they're actually, I mean, nationwide, we're slowing down. They need actual material to be recycled. We do a lot of the cardboard from the grocery stores. We separate it and we do bale it, and that's an example of how it's baled. This is some of the paper that's baled. This is actually leftovers from books. When they print out books, they print them out bigger, and then they have to cut the shred to size, and that's that paper right there, extra. This is our residential. Now, as you can see, this is our guidelines, and we do have everyone to participate, which means we want the younger people to participate. We want a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old to participate, and they can't read all these words, but they understand the pictures. We do have most commonly asked questions. That's we have the yes and the no. The yes, clean pizza boxes. That seems to be a problem with us adults. We get it, there shouldn't be any food on there, cheese, sauce, pepperoni, that type of stuff. It's the grease. If the box has a lot of grease on it, we're asking you to throw it in the trash. The mill, we talked to the Pratt mills, and the mills are saying they can't separate the grease from the cardboard. And that actually affects their paper, to the point that if they get a whole roll, and these rolls are huge, with paper that has the grease attached to it, they can't sell it. No one wants to buy it. And then they have to landfill it. So they said they rather, because of the Amazon effect, that everybody now with COVID is shopping online, they're getting all those boxes are a lot cleaner than the greasy pizza box. So they're kind of, they're if it's got a lot of grease, we're saying no. Clean garden plastics, we're asking that you do flatten cardboard. Empty and rinse containers out. Do you have to take the label off? No. But should there be food inside of here? No. Does it mean you have to put it in the dishwasher? No. You do it right away, you can rinse it out. What we're worried about is something like this called contamination. This is a peanut butter jar. When I show the kids, I say, okay, what's wrong with this? And they said, there's still peanut butter in there. Unfortunately, peanut butter, you probably will have to wash out. This won't rinse out very well. But what happens is this actually contaminates whatever else is in that single stream cart. So if I have cheese left in here and I put it in my cart and I throw in paper, well, the paper touches the cheese. Now this is contaminated and the paper is contaminated. And this is how bales get contaminated, is we have too much of that. As far as caps, yes, leave the caps on all of your containers. It actually, I know there was a time to take the caps off and they said to throw them away. And they wound up, it's like 30 some pounds per hour of plastic we're throwing away by throwing away the caps. But they now have the technology that separates, because it's 2 different types of plastic. They have the technology. They have the technology to actually take this label off. So don't worry about taking labels off. Don't worry, put the caps on. Also, as our machines can detect it. If this is flat, squished flat or compressed, the machines are gonna think it's a piece of cardboard and it's gonna wind up in the wrong containers. So the machine, it needs to be 3-dimensional. Now you guys all probably remember there was a time, I'm old, but I'm not that old, but I remember as a kid, when we recycled paper, we were told to take the staples out. to make sure there were no clips, no labels, no stamps, spiral binding on the spiral notebooks you had to take away, the metal fasteners on the envelopes. Don't have to worry about any of that anymore. You can just put the paper in all together. If you had something that, I remember there was a little plastic film sometimes with some of the boxes so you can see the product. Don't have to worry about that anymore. That could just go in all in one. Now, what we do have a problem with are the famous little Target bags. No plastic bags whatsoever. So we're saying no to the Target and no to things like that. What happens is it gets caught in our wheels. And I'm going to show you the wheels that it does get caught in. So that for right now, those can't. Now with the bags, believe it or not, a lot of stores are taking these bags back. Target, Myers, Kroger, Kohl's. So you can take it back to the store as long as it is clean. Now I did get a tour of Kellogg's, and Kellogg says their cereal bags are the same plastic as this. So they said, make sure they're empty and put them with the plastic bag, Target bag, and take them back to the store. Now, another question is egg cartons. And the egg carton question is, which ones can go in the recycling carton? This one's made of a cardboard. Yes, it can go in the recycling carton. This one is a clear plastic. Yes, it can go in the recycling carton. The styrofoam cannot. Dart Container, which I know is the actual people that deal with the styrofoam in the state of Michigan, says that if you put it in the cart, basically the truck crushes it and then the machines tear it up to pieces. And it winds up all over the floor and it winds up dirty. So they rather have this collected separately. Now, I don't know what they're doing this year because I haven't met anyone from Dart Container in all my webinars and everything that we've gone on. I know in the past that they've helped schools out with their styrofoam trays as far as recycling that. They can't help everybody because they're the only company in the entire state and they get a lot of schools with requests. So sometimes they wind up on waiting list. But what they would do is send someone like me out to the schools and they would teach the students what's acceptable and what's not acceptable as far as this. Some schools just switch different types of trays. I'm in Metro Detroit. My school district is Utica Community Schools. They actually have plastic trays that they can wash out again. Some school districts are plant-based, so it can break down. But there are some schools that are still using the styrofoam. No wire hangers. The wire hangers get caught. No organic material or food waste. Believe it or not, I have seen food in the recycling carts that actually winds up at the recycling center. Electronic waste, batteries, cell phones, computers, anything with a cord. Even if you take off the cord, we don't want those type of items. Those have to be special recycled, whether it be through the community, whether it be Flint, whether it be the county, Genesee County, it has to be done as a separate one. In Metro Detroit, there was one organization, again, with the COVID and what's going on, I don't know if they're doing it again this year, but with Macomb and Oakland County, they were offering, the one company was offering it for free, but they can't do it statewide for free. They only did it for those two counties where the schools had electronic recycling. And then they picked a day and then notified everybody in the community. And that for them, they want to be Michigan Green School certified and they have to do it every single year. So they need help from a Rotary Club or from the community to do some of these activities as far as like electronic waste. The batteries, we're talking about like the AA, the AAA, the C, even the button batteries. There are battery solutions, again, located in Michigan, more in the southeast Michigan. They actually do recycle those batteries. They separate the batteries. We used to collect them, we're not anymore. You actually have to take them in, whether you take them into Best Buy, Best Buy takes it. There might be Battery Giant or Battery Recycling. Some Target stores take them, but you do have to ask them. But and Battery Solutions actually works with the communities also. So what they would do is they would charge for shipping, but they give you a container and you put it like at a library or a community center or maybe a city hall. And you let the residents know this is the place that you drop off these batteries and then you ship them out. And they separate those batteries by hand. One recycling center down here in Southeast Michigan, one of the button batteries got squished in the machinery and created a spark, which started a fire. Luckily, the supervisor was standing there. He was able to get his extinguisher and put it out fast. But something like that happens within an instant. On the west side of the state, Grand Rapids in Kent County, there was a propane tank that went through the entire recycling sorting system, went into the baler. When it got compressed in the baler, that's when the explosion happened. They had 13 fire trucks and news crews out there to cover what was going on. Paints, pesticides, those are things. Wax cardboard, how can you tell if a piece of cardboard has wax coating? Think of a candle. If it feels like a candle, then it's got wax cardboard. Needles and syringes, no hazardous waste. What is not on here that's coming very popular is flexible packaging. As of right now in Michigan, these type of packaging, chip bags and all that would have to go in the trash. In Pennsylvania, they are doing a pilot program. One of the recycling centers down there was fitted to collect this material. It cost them about $4 million to upgrade their recycling facility to see if they can actually capture, because it's not three-dimensional, it's two-dimensional, and it's like the paper and the cardboard. So they were able to do that, but now is there a market for these items? That's the second problem. Is there someone who wants to take this and turn it into something new? So in Michigan right now, these items will go in the trash, and there's a lot of flexible packaging out there. If you have things like this, do not put them into the recycling. This is one of those air pockets, the bubble wrap, all that can't go into the recycling carts. All right, this is, oh, I get backwards. All right, now the recycling symbols on the plastic. PET, that would be your water bottles. HDPE, number 2, would be your milk jugs. We are asking also with the milk jugs, because I know in Southeast Michigan, for some odd reason, adults like this crush the containers and the bottles and these type things to get more room in their recycling carts. Makes sense. But I've been in subdivisions on days, they crush all this and left the boxes completely regular sized. So we're asking you to do the opposite. Crush the boxes, don't crush these containers. Make sure they are empty, and yes, put the cap back on. Little dented, not a problem, but they have to be able to see it. Number 3, we don't see a lot of, that's the PVC. Number 4 are all your bags. They're your Ziploc bags, they're your sandwich bags, the Target bags, so it's that type of material. PP, that would be things like yogurt containers. Number 6, polystyrene, that's your styrofoam. And number 7 is like a mixture. So those are what all those symbols mean. Now, something that's really important is to look on your packaging. So you look on a cereal box, it'll tell you both the box and the bag. The box would have it like widely recyclable. You're looking for this picture, how to recycle. That means you can put it in the recycling cart. The bag, that cereal bag, says check locally. That means you have to find out on your acceptables list, the guidelines. Will your recycling, single stream recycling take it? We don't take it. If it's a line drawn through it, it cannot go into the recycling cart. And then you have the store drop off. So if you're not sure, try to look on the containers and it'll tell you what each one. For example, a granola bar, the box would have this, and then they would say the individual wrapper would have that one. All right, what's wrong with the picture? I'm not gonna ask you questions, I'm gonna just point out what's wrong with the pictures. We're getting a lot of the plastic, the bags. So we're getting a lot of the Target bags in there, which is creating a problem. Recycling, curbside single stream recycling, we do not want you to put it into garbage bags and put the garbage bag into that recycling cart. This bag, when it gets to the recycling center, the employee will take it, put it aside, it'll go directly to a landfill. They will not open it up because they don't know what's inside of it. It could be filled with milk jugs and pop bottles, but because they don't know, it could also be filled with broken glass. It could be filled with needles and syringes. It could be filled with wood that has nails sticking out of it. And they don't want to risk the employee's health and safety. They rather just, they'll take the precautions and no, it's just gotta go to the trash. As you can see right here, bags full of styrofoam. That is a problem. Someone put a tree into the recycling cart. I actually saw the tree come off the truck. Those can't go in there. A lot of plastic bags still. Fan. pool noodle, the styrofoam, the chip bag, this right, the greasy pizza box. This is actually a Ziploc bag with grapes in it. This is a jug did not get crushed in the truck because we do compress things. But as you can see, even the box didn't get crushed in the truck. So this is some of the problem. The fan. These are some of the problems. That's why it's costing so much to recycle, because everybody wants says, oh, I hope this could, they're wishful recyclers. Oh, I think this could be recycled. Let's put it in there and let someone else figure it out. And that is the problem, is the someone else figuring out. And because we put things through machines, this would actually damage the machines. Cloth, there's the textiles with a blanket. The fact that someone, you can tell there's recyclables in there, but it's in a bag. This is our facility in New Boston. We bought it this time last year. And originally we were supposed to give our first tour right when the shutdowns occurred. I was supposed to give some community leaders a tour, and it got postponed kind of indefinitely at this point. They come in, they do weigh the truck. As you can see, we have front loaders that move it onto conveyor belts. We do have pre-screeners at this point in time. They are going from now probably through January. They're also going to be looking at Christmas items. When I went to the schools last year, I had teachers telling me they were putting this into their recycling carts. They actually admitted it to me. You can't put these lights into the recycling carts. They are recyclable, not curbside. And that's what they're looking for. Tree branches or old wreaths that are made from plastic and wires, that can't go in there. Wrapping paper that has, and they either like strands in it or glitter. Bags have glitter. Cards have glitter. If you have a card that plays music, that little music mechanism has to come out because it's not designed to go through here and for them to reprocess it. So as you can see, they're pulling right now the plastic bags. It is now going into the paper sorted. It's called a V-screen separator. Separates the paper and cardboard from the single stream processing. The paper and cardboard bounces on the roll on these wheels, and the objects fall through. The problem is these items are wrapping around the wheels. And if you get enough of them wrapping around the wheels, you get ties, you get coat hangers stuck in there. They have to stop all the machines, and it's not a big machine. So maybe 2 people can crawl in there and try to get everything out. And it takes them hours. And meanwhile, other items are still coming in, so it slows the process down. So this is the main reason right now that we're not taking the bags as far as curbside. This is the optical scanner. This is actually scanning for the plastic, the PET plastic. There is actually a laser light. The computer actually has a wavelength that is emitted when that laser light hits it, that the computer can read, a little puff of air, and it blows it into its own container. The aluminum cans is the eddy current, and with the metal can, the ferrous metals, it is more of a magnet. Once everything is separated, once that container is full, it is on another conveyor belt, and it's sent to a baler. This is the part of the baling process. And as it is compressed, this is what the finished bales look like. Now we have to wait. Sometimes people call us, they say, okay, how many bales of paper you have? And we say, we have this many bales of paper. So we do have to keep track of everything coming in, everything going out. Final thoughts, as far as there is a next cycle that the state of Michigan is now implementing. They introduced it to us this past fall. And what they're saying is through their research that 6.8 million tons of opportunities being wasted, 2.7 million more tons are targeted to reach 45% of the goal. There's $9 billion potential total annual labor income and 33 billion potential economic output. That's what they're seeing. And that's why they're pushing for this recycling and doing more of an effort with the recycling. So that's part of the thought process behind that. Now, I know I went through a whole bunch of different things. Are there any questions? Because there's things I kind of rushed through. I can stop sharing.
I have questions, Victoria. You have stressed me out. I've done everything wrong. Oh my God. I'm texting my wife right right now going, we gotta make some changes here. Okay. Labels. You said keep labels on plastic bottles, but I think I might have missed what you said about every day I'm taking off the labels off of all the aluminum. Am I taking it off of aluminum or keep it on?
Yeah, you keep it on. Don't have to worry about it.
So just don't crush anything except for,
Don't crush anything except for boxes.
and then keep the labels on, just make sure it's rinsed. No.
If you take, for example, if you take the tape off or take the labels off, then that has to go in the trash.
Wow. All right. I got some soul searching to do. Thank you.
Okay.
I've been doing
Okay,
it all wrong too, Nick.
I have a quick question. Okay, I think you mentioned, I'm sure you mentioned this, but like you said, you've mentioned a lot. Anyway, this is Marie, and my question has to do with now, we're ordering more stuff for takeout from restaurants, and it comes, in the boxes, the styrofoam boxes, all that. Those are not, even if you clean them out and there's no grease on them or anything, those are not recyclable, correct?
Not curbside. You would have to have a drop-off program. Some of them, for example, I keep using Sterling Heights. I live in Sterling Heights, and we have subscription for our curbside program, recycling program. So not everybody actually gets curb, but centers. And
So if you don't have that, you just throw it in the garbage with everything else?
Yeah, right now,
Really?
yes. Yeah.
That's the one that surprises me.
It's one of those where you have to get the restaurants and everybody to switch to something that can be a plastic that can be recycled. Like Red Robin switched from the styrofoam, McDonald's switched off the styrofoam, but there are restaurants, because you're looking at cost, that's what they're doing.
What did you say about, I think you had a butter box that you said you flattened, and so you're not supposed to flatten that? I think that's probably mine that I put in there.
All boxes are flattened.
All boxes are flattened. Okay. Cool.
Victoria?
I did it right.
Victoria,
Yes.
this is Robert Savilsky speaking.
I know what he's going to say.
Are you familiar with Pratt Industries?
Yes.
And so they're in the paper, one of the biggest recyclers in the country.
Yes.
And they are one of the largest producers of what you call cardboard, and is known as corrugated. And recently they've been promoting, and I've been in the industry for many, many years, they've been promoting the fact that pizza boxes are indeed recyclable. And meaning, as I understand it, that pizza boxes, as you use them and then take them and put them in the recycling bin, even with grease on them, they can use it.
Okay.
And I can understand before, when it would contaminate a roll of paper, what that means. That's 2 tons of paper.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've heard of that move, or that Pratt is promoting that in fact.
That I did not hear. I think when I was on my tour, it was the one that was on the west side, and I think that's a different industry over there. And
Okay.
they told, on our tour, they said they don't want the greasy pizza boxes. So
Okay.
we're working all over the place, and I think it depends on where everything is going.
All right. Well, I just wanted to know, because they are promoting it and saying they're very recyclable. Okay. And there's a lot of pizza boxes.
Yeah. Hi, this is Jerry Hill. I got a question. Can you see me?
Yep.
Hi. Okay, I worked in the industry and warehousing, and we used to have a lot of heavy machinery and things that were received in styrofoam, wood and styrofoam things, and the styrofoam pieces were huge, and our customers that we shipped styrofoam in didn't know what to do with it. We didn't know what to do with it. Is there anything that can be done with the styrofoam packaging, or are they just eliminating it, or what?
With commercial, it's slightly easier as far as commercial recycling. So if it's a business or a manufacturer, because our company would go in, if we saw that you had so much styrofoam, then we would connect the dots and say, okay, this is how much it would cost. Is it cost effective? And then we get, work with dark containers and all that to get that done. Is the residential where it's a problem? Because with the residential, you're putting in the cart, so you might have 2 items there, and It's kind of different when you're dealing with a store or a business versus dealing, and then it's easier to collect and it's cleaner.
Can you use styrofoam or recycle it?
Dark containers, not only do they create other styrofoam products, they can do molding, they could do picture frames, they've done rulers, so they actually use the styrofoam for other items.
Okay, well, this is years ago, 20, 30 years ago, that they weren't accepting it at that time.
Yeah, that's something like I said, commercial wise, it can be worked out. It can actually, and that's why Dark Container would prefer it to be separated. They're all like just outside of Lansing, and they have a drop-off center for the styrofoam.
Well, that's good. But little styrofoam cups that you get at the store and all that kind of stuff, those are non-recyclable.
Correct. Most of the, I want to say most of the cups have switched. The companies have switched.
Yeah, right.
I want to say Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons have switched out of the styrofoam into
Right. I know that's but still styrofoam cups and things are still being used domestically. Thank you. I think you've done a really great job. I've really been like.
I have a quick question for you. You had yes on clear and colored glass, but I think this came from my time in California, and maybe I just always assumed this was the case. I've always been told wine bottles are not recyclable. Can I recycle those?
Ooh, we've had discussions with that because we've only been talking about certain types of glasses, and usually I see the wine bottles, I see them back at the stores. The problem with the glass is it's actually cheaper to landfill it than it is to reprocess it. And that's been a continual problem. It's recyclable indefinitely. I think it's because of the color in it. That's part of the problem versus a clear glass. So we've only talked about GFL as far as the clear and some of the colored glass, but as far as the wine bottles, I'm not too sure with that one.
So if they go in recycling, does it like ruin the whole batch if you put them in there, or do they just get pulled out?
See, that's hard because if it doesn't break, then they can't pull it. But I don't know if it breaks in the process.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
You know, with more people drinking at home, it hasn't come up before as far as the wine bottle.
I have a question here from Patrick. Can we find a PDF of the recycle label symbol somewhere? They would be useful to post at home.
I pulled it off online. Some of the stuff I got, like how to recycle, I actually went under that program to find that one out. But I was researching online because I had people ask the questions about they might even get rid of that 1 through 7, the industry might. That's why they keep changing things. With regulations coming up, that's why you're going to see changes in what things are made out of. So that's why everything's a constant. They want to make containers that are made from plant-based that you can compost, but that's in the startup phases. So you're not going to see it on the market yet. So those are items that, okay, if it's composted, it has to have a certain label. It actually has to be registered because the composters don't want people like us being confused. Well, it looks like it maybe, and then put it in there, and then it's not breaking down at the compost site. So there are things that they're working on, other regulations that might come into play. For example, having a standardized guidance across the entire state. I'm told that's never going to happen because what's acceptable down here is not the same thing that's acceptable up here. For example, if you go up north, farther up north, you can recycle these, the bags, because they actually have a way, because they have dual stream, they actually pull them out. So they actually say, yes, we'll take those. We're telling you take it back to the store, but they're taking them actually at the recycling centers up there because they have a market for it there. They actually have a place that they can actually take it to. And that's why the markets are different. And we're saying, well, can't we just send a solid message? And I know they have the little raccoons that you can look up through the Eagle that talks about just the basics. And the basics, and I think they said no grease in the pizza boxes. So Robert, you might want to check that one out because I think that might be their message too.
Well, I've looked at it and I've been looking for the exceptions on it always. And it just is a blanket statement. Pizza boxes can be recycled and we can handle them. So I will, and as large as they are, I assume they know what they're talking about. They're a major player in recycled paper in this country.
Yeah.
Recycled corrugated paper and paper. So I don't know. I will, I just, for your own information, I thought I'd bring that up. And I know you had to be familiar with Pratt because they are a major recycling operation from Australia. They came in this country.
So that's one of those, I know the cleanliness, that how empty things are. Like I said, when the raccoons first came out, I remember them saying something about pizza boxes, but off the top of my head, I don't remember if they actually said no grease or not. It's easy with the cheese. The cheese is easy. It's got stuff still on it now.
Well,
It
surprised me.
Okay, very good. So that means that those bags that we get from Kroger's, the plastic bags, do not go in the curbside recycling.
Correct.
And no wine bottles.
At this point, correct. I would
Okay.
have to double check the wine bottles, but I know the glass has been an on and off issue. And several of the recycling centers, the MRFs, have talked about eliminating it as far as collecting it in the single stream, because when it dumps off the truck, it breaks. And they're saying it's cutting up everything else that's in the single stream. So if it breaks and it's in shards, it's breaking through the plastic, it's breaking through the paper, and it's just kind of destroying it or deteriorating it to the point that it's not as valuable. So it's been an on and off discussion. Right now, we're still taking it, so.
Now, see, in Canada, it's been a while now since if you go into a store, grocery store, clothing store, whatever, and if you want a bag, you have to pay for the bag. It's a nickel to 10 cents a bag.
In some states, that's what's going on.
Right.
You can buy your own reusable bag, and that's why I tell the kids, you buy a reusable bag maybe for $1.
Well, that's
But-
like Aldi's.
Yeah.
Aldi's, you bring your own bags.
Yeah. And that's going to be a movement that you're going to see, is you're going to start seeing these being eliminated. And I told students that some of the things that you're seeing, like the paper straws, we don't have a law about paper straws. The law about paper straws is dealing with California. The little shampoo bottles that you get in hotels, basically they're banned in California. And I said, well, if you have a chain of Holiday Inns and you have them all across the 50 states and you have to change it for California or Washington and Oregon, you're going to change it for all the states because it's going to be cheaper. So you're seeing things because of regulations that might be happening in a different state. So a company can change their mind. I told them themselves can actually go. I said, McDonald's and Burger King, they didn't do that on their own. It was individuals that says, okay, all the styrofoam's winding up in landfill and the birds are eating it, and there's a problem with the birds and the wildlife and the environment. And they got them to switch over to the cardboard because it's been in cardboard for a while. And I think it was more of a people movement than it was any regulation that came down from the government.
Now, grocery stores that still use paper bags, those are recyclable, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So when you go into a grocery store, like I'm here in Flushing Beakies, they give you a choice, plastic or paper. We should choose paper.
Yes.
Okay.
And be careful because, well, our state you don't have to worry about, but in New York, I think they're banning the plastic and charging for the paper. Because the reason why the stores switched from the paper to the plastic, because the plastic was cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
The plastic bags that you see in the ocean and those types of things, is there anything that's being done that's helping that to reduce it, or there action being taken that you know of?
That's where some of the regulations are taking place. Some of them right now are at the state level. There are some going through at the federal level. I just don't know where they are in the process of actually banning the bags. There are cleanup efforts as for Oceans. They're looking for donations, and they actually have a crew that goes out there. And I tell the kids they have to have all the gear because it's easy to pick something up off the ground. Is it going to be easy in the ocean? No, because it's not all floating at top. It's floating at different levels. So you got to pull that up. And then they're going, well, we don't want to put this plastic now in a landfill. Can we turn it into something else and break it down? So actually, if you read, if it's made from plastic in the ocean, there'll actually be a label on it saying that it's made from plastic, from the recycled plastic from the ocean. Nike has a shoe right now that's 50% maybe recycled material. They want it to be 100% recycled material. So I've noticed that clothing I buy from Eddie Bauer, some of it is now saying it's made from recycled material. So, but you have to look for the labels when you're buying it. It'll say in the little descriptions, but it's coming.
Good.
Okay, excellent. George, can we get that next slide? Victoria, in appreciation for the time and preparation that you donated for your very educational presentation, the Rotary Club of Flint will make a donation in your name to the Rotary International Foundation for the eradication of polio. And we thank you. We thank you for this excellent presentation. I know we still have a lot of questions. You just might get contacted again one way or another.
Well, things do change, like I said, as far as what can be accepted, what can't be accepted, as the technology changes, then we can take more material in. And if they can figure out as far as plastic or like the little pouches I was talking about, then that might be something that we're collecting also. It's just a matter of the technology and the touch.
Okay.
If anyone is in contact with any teachers, I know they're all virtual. I do have several different presentations, not exactly this one. They're more grade school for free. If teachers are looking for some help as far as getting through this and also educating, it's nice to see someone different in their little Zoom box.
I will make one more comment. I've got a granddaughter who's a senior at Powers High School up here in Flint, and she is head of the Green Club.
The Green Clubs, I speak to the Green Clubs too. So I give them a whole bunch of different ideas of things that they can do at the school level. I know one point, because I think West Bloomfield Rotary is focusing on the environment this year. I don't know if it's a whole Rotary thing or if it's just their group that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But there used to be, GM used to go into the communities and the schools and help out what they want to do, and it might be in your area because they stopped doing it in the Southeast Michigan. So they might be doing it in Flint, something to look up and do, is their employees would go out into the community with you and work with you to come up with a plan, whether you want to do some sort of garden, something sustainable that you can continue beyond. They will help you start it and then you can continue on. So it's like a group effort that they do. So that might be something if you have a contact in that area. I know they suspended the program because of funding in the Metro Detroit area, but I'm not too sure if they still are doing it in other parts of the state.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks again. We certainly appreciate this. I also want to thank Vicki for her inspirational message. And Flint Rotary thanks each and every one of you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our program as much as we enjoyed welcoming you as members and guests. There's no meeting scheduled next Friday, but I'm inviting you to join us for a Thanksgiving happy hour celebration beginning at 4 p.m. Be safe, stay warm, and look to open opportunities in order to provide service above self. Have a great weekend. We are adjourned.
Happy
Thank you.
Thank you, President Ray.
Oh, very welcome. I still didn't hear anything.
He's whiffing. He's whiffing on the bell.
Sorry, I'll work on that. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks, Bill. Same with you. Enjoy the sunshine while it's here.